So chapter 4 now. Operation Kino, right? Which, like, all right, so forgive me because I rel into home media stuff. So I don't know if this was Quentin referencing Kino Loba, which is this film distribution company, you know, this put out
right, no,
classic
Kino is film. It's just film, the term film, the Kino.
Oh, okay.
It just, look, it's a film nerd making a film nerd.
Yeah.
It's not going on here.
All right. Oh, okay, right?
Yeah.
Boy, the first scene just blew my mind in a special way, right? So here's where you see one of the guest stars in the show, because it's a Tarantino movie, so you always have guest stars, right?
This cameo is
Mike
great.
Myers,
I love this guy. Yeah.
Austin Powers, Dread, played.
I know. The thing with this is a scene. This is a scene I consider like very well shot. Like it's great. It introduces
them wide shots, so especially with the curtains in your room. I love that.
Yes.
The red curtains.
I was watching this scene. I watched this scene for like a hot minute, and it's only like about 45 seconds into like, wait, that Mike Myers. Like your brain didn't register it at all. And it's only after about 5 minutes my brethren like, yo, what's that Mike Myers boy? I'm like, oh yes, thank you, Lewis.
Yeah.
And so when I was watching for the first time. But I just smirk, because like you really put Mike Myers in the scene, but what the fuck going on here, boy?
What get me about this, right, is because one thing, this is like the first time I ever seen Mike Myers do anything dramatic, right? Because we know him from Wayne's World, we know him from the Austin Powers series, right?
Where with this?
Yeah, but then you hear the accent though, the British accent, like, oh, that's why he cast him. Because it doesn't sound Cockney. It's Cockney. There was a kind of a Cockney accent.
It's called that by it's Royal, basically Royal British. Forget the name of the accent.
Right. You're right. It was not Cockney, but that whole sort of baby. It was It had a sort of dignified kind of vibe to it, right? But he kind of does that sort of with the
rotary British accent. Rotary
British accent. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, boy, he plays General Ed Fennick, right? And what? Just looking back at this, right? What makes this moment work, right? Yeah, this is basically the introduction of the British into this whole story, right? Because we see Americans, we see Germans, we see French, we never see the British, right? And now they're being brought in here, right? And he's having this conversation with Lieutenant Archie Hickox, played by Michael Fassbender himself. I'm like, what? You this too Magneto in this?
So yeah, this is I don't remember him in anything before this, actually.
Yeah, no, well, here's the thing, right? So first time I saw Fassbender was, ironically enough, in 300. That was the first time I ever saw him, right?
Right.
And then I saw him in this, and then after that was like First Class, well, the X-Men movies, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, 300 is where I knew him from before. Right.
Yeah. So like you, I wasn't too familiar with Fassbender at the time, right? But boy, because it's Tarantino, again, Archie is a former film critic, and in particular he knows a lot about German cinema. You talk about, I wrote these 2 books about, G.W. Forst or whatever. I forget the guy's name right now, right? But this famous German director back in like the 1920s, right? But just the idea that you have this guy in this war, right? And he's a former film critic. I'm like, yeah, this is Tarantino shit, and I love it, all of this, right? Yeah. So what we learn here at this point now is that they knew, the Allied forces knew about the nation's pride premiere, right? But they assumed at the time that it was going to be at the Ritz, right? So now that they find out that it was going to be at another spot now, at Shoshana Cinema, they're like, all right, well, the plan basically, as he says, is, we have all the rotten eggs in one basket, so yeah, Operation Kino involves blowing up that basket. I just love just the blunt delivery in that, right? But keep in mind, they don't know about Shoshana's plan. They don't even know who Shoshana is, right? It's just, they're going in with explosive, everybody there, boom. That's the plan, right? So, the plan is that, the mission now is that Archie have to meet this double agent now, this actress called, named Bridget Von Hammersmack, right? Who's played by, oh gosh, what's her name, boy? She's played by Diane Kruger. I think the last time I saw her was,
I don't know what the reference is to her.
I can't remember, but I know she was in a recent show. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what the reference is to her if she was a real person. But the person I always think of is Mata Hari, right? It's the double agent stuff, because kind of thing. Like, I don't know if it had a real person who was closer to her. Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
So
perhaps.
I don't. I can't forget the history.
Yeah, well, knowing Tarantino is probably a pastiche of like famous German actresses who probably were involved in the war in some way, right?
Right,
So,
in some way or the other, right?
Yeah, so the mission is that Archie have to meet her at this tavern. And then, you know, she and, well, also teaming up with the bastards because she linked up with the bastards too. So she and Archie and two other people supposed to go into that screening, right? So let me talk about that tavern scene, right? How Tarantino builds tension. This man is building tension for like about 10-15 minutes on edge, right? You just there like, and I wouldn't lie, like, the first time I saw it, I was there like wondering, okay, when the punchline gonna come in? When the punchline gonna come in, right? But when it comes in, boy, is absolutely worth the wait, right? So I'll just run through quickly what happened. So basically, Archie, Aldo, Hugo, and the other bastards hide out in his basement, right? In the tavern, right? So above the basement now, you see like Bridget and some German soldiers just laughing it up, right? So one of the soldiers is this guy. He found out he's a father now, so he just they having fun with his friends, right? It's a Friday after work line, basically they have it. That's really what it was, right? So Archie and Hugo remember being, you know, Stiglitz, right? Yeah, and one of the German bastards pretty much show up now to the same gathering now dressed in Nazi uniforms, right? So one thing, right? I love how twofold this movie is at this point, right? So basically, what you see here is just what it kind of feels like is like an anthology, right? It feels like you see these standalone stories being told, but here is where everything is going to connect together. This is where what we saw in the first 3 chapters gonna connect now, but you're also introducing new characters, right? In particular with Archie and Bridget, right? You see how they all kind of connect here, right? And then also to just the approach to the genre of war of the war film that Tarantino is doing here, right? So if you notice, it's always these dialogue scenes that end violently, right? So chapter 1 was the farm. It started with a conversation and with a bunch of people getting killed. Chapter 2 was the bastards asking the Nazis, yo, where this patrol is, and end violently, right? Chapter 3 could have played out like that, but why it plays out in that violent way is that Shoshana couldn't defend herself. She wasn't ready at the moment, right? And then in chapter 5, or the last chapter, you'll see what she does, right? So we'll get to that in a bit, right? But yeah, it just plays on that though. Just the idea that it's not so much about seeing, battle sequences. That's not the approach of this movie here. It's about the dialogue, it's about setting up the scene, but it's always going to end on some kind of violent note, right? And you really, really see it here with this 4th chapter, right? So I love how it starts off with, just these guys play this card game, this whole thing about, you write a name on a card, you put it on your forehead, and you're supposed to guess who it is. It just sort of built everything really, really cool, right? But then now, you see that Archie getting pissed off at the same guy who celebrated the fact that he's a father, he's drunk, and he just keep interrupting the conversation that Archie's having with Hugo and, and Bridget, right? So he's trying to tell him to go, right? And then the soldier's like, yo, something off with your accent, right? Why you sound like that, right? I love how they set that up. Just that idea of, wait, you're really from where you're from? Why are German sounding off like that? Just the idea of accents and how they sound, right? Perfect. I love that, right? And then now, another thing I should say in this chapter, which does so well though, characters always showed up at just the right time, Trent. So Dieter from chapter 3 though, he's there, and he just sort of like watching the scene that he butts into the conversation. So he also picks up on Archie's accent as well too, right? And then Archie saying, "Oh, I was from some village, and you might have seen it in some film and blah blah blah." I love that.
Yeah, you try to jump around the whole thing now.
Yeah. And Dieter's like, "Yeah, cool, whatever, no problem." And he starts the whole charade card game, whatever it is, right? So points for the clever commentary at this point here, right? So everybody write a card, and he gets on his card has King Kong on it, right? And it's how everybody tried to explain to him who the character is without saying what it is, right? And going back to racism, it's him kind of talk about, oh, is this the story of the Negro in America? It's like, yes. It's like, oh, so, King Kong. I was like, all right. I like that. Yep.
Yeah. So this is one of those moments about Tarantino that you're not sure if it's Tarantino's opinion or if it's the character's opinion. So, like,
All right, well, I think it is the character's opinion because I don't think that the 1983 King Kong film is racist, but I could understand people finding racist.
No, a lot of people, not so much racist as it is the supposed commentary or what it's supposed to be, you know, as a subtext. Because, okay, like, let us go back to Kill Bill Volume 2. Remember in Kill Bill Volume 2, the ending, it had this whole long speech about Superman
and Clark Kent. Yep.
All right, and how is Superman right? And I remember when I first
how they both the same person. Yeah.
Right. I know what you say about the real thing is the disguise is Clark Kent and the real person is Superman and so on and so on, right? Yeah. But the whole point is that a lot of people, like, to me, I at least when I was reading it on the internet at the time, I remember a lot of people saying, oh, Tarantino don't understand Superman at all, and that is a totally wrong position. I'm like, no, that is not Tarantino's opinion. It's Bill's opinion, because the whole point is to inform how Bill thinks about the world. That's how I always understood that, right?
Yeah, Bill and how he sees Beatrix and like, oh, as he says, you're a killer, you're a stone cold killer. That's what he says.
No, but it's about power now. Like, Bill totally misunderstands Superman, because that's how Bill is thinking about the world, right? Bill is very cynical. Bill is a villain, cynical villain thinking about the world. I don't think that's how Tarantino thinks about the world. I carry Tarantino mind, but I don't think that's what Tarantino thinks about Superman. Same thing here. I don't think this is Tarantino's opinion about King Kong, right? Or, you know, the perspective of it being a part of the American Negro narrative about slavery. So a lot of people just like get this confused. Like, it probably is, right? You know, like, admittedly, like, to say the N word a little too much. But, you know, I don't think that's the situation. A lot of people misinterpret that as the scene. This is Nazi's perspective of the scene. And that makes sense, because if you get into the history of, like, American Nazism, is that when they get into the history of Nazism, where they think they get the idea of Lebensraum from American history, right? That is American, what do you call it, Manifest Destiny is the same thing. It's German. They just wanted to replicate what they did to the Wild West, right? In fact, they used to call it the Wild East, right? That's the actual history. So that's why I thought it was, like, it's just informing these Nazi characters and how they look at the world kind of thing now. That's how I interpret it. So I don't think it's Tarantino getting King Kong or even getting that aspect of it wrong. It's them, the information of the characters, which to me is where Tarantino's strength is. So, I don't know. Like, a lot of people, it's had a weird argument about this some years back about this role. I'm like, no, that is the Nazis. He's talking about the Nazis.
Exactly. I don't know. I totally agree. Yeah, so long story short, Dieter sees through Archie's lies and he literally point a gun at his nuts, right? But I like that there's a nice moment, like piece of writing afterwards where you're there wondering what was he tell? What was the moment where he realized, oh, Archie and shit, but they will say what it is later on. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the accents too. The accents are a big part of it because, like, as I mentioned earlier, sorry, just a quick correction, it's rhotic accent, not rhoticity accent, not rotary accent.
Okay.
But when you have that accent, it hard to break. It's hard to say it. I'll sell you out. Yeah,
exactly, and especially how dignified Fassbender's accent was, with British accent was in the film, right?
Too dignified.
Yeah. But what I love though in this moment, right, is Hugo, because the moment he come downstairs, it's like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I just want to start killing people, I want to start killing Nazis and scalping people, So yeah, he and all two just start, he aiming gun at Dieter's dick as well too, right? So they have like this little verbal Mexican standoff though. I love how it just ends with Archie just saying, you know what, let me this was some damn fine scotch, you know what I mean? Like, this basically say before I go to hell, let me just try this German scotch, see how it is, right? And then, boy, the payoff for this, though, is so visceral, but it's worth it, right? Yeah, just shots that start firing, men get basically blasting dick. People, like, everybody get killed except for the soldier who's a father. And Bridget. Yeah. Bridget actually gets shot in the leg, right? I love that even though that whole shootout is like half of a minute, you still feel it though, especially with the squibs and the gunshots and just I love it. It's visceral, but it totally works well.
I consider this one of the best scenes of that decade. It's just
that shootout.
Yeah, that's why this payoff, it's like, wow, this wild as hell, dude. Like,
it is, right? But yeah, but let me just wrap up this chapter here, and then we'll just ask you and Ashton what you're talking about, right? So from above now, remember Aldo is just there kind of waiting on everything, right? So he offers the same soldier, the one who's a father, D, right? So he says, he wanted to collect Bridget and leave, right? 'Cause remember, she get hurt, right? She get shot in the leg, right? And he, though, the soldier, could go home to the child, right? And this is the moment where you actually see Aldo actually open up to a Nazi, right? So it's like, oh, you know, I have a kid. You know, I know the whole idea was supposed to scalp Nazis regardless, but you have a kid. Here's what, I'm going to let it go, provided that you give him Bridget, right? And you also ask the soldier to put his gun down, right? But Aldo was like, well, Ma was like, no, I'm not going to put down my gun, right? And Aldo was like, yeah, you know what, here's what, let me just squash the deal, because he didn't want to do nothing, right? And then afterwards, he called, the same soldier called Bridget a traitor. And then afterwards, Bridget pulled out a gun and sent about shots into him, right? And this is like the first shots that she fired in the whole movie, by the way. Okay, just say watch it, like, oh, you know, she had nothing to play in all this, but I remember she's a double agent too, so she had to have some kind of firearm or something like that, right? So this is where Aldo and the other bastards finally learn about Operation Kino, right? Because they're just kind of helping helping Archie out basically, but they didn't really know all the details, right? What was going on, right? I love that earlier on Bridget was saying how she was going to tell Archie two pieces of information, right? First one being that they moved the venue of the screening, but as she was about to get the second one, that's when they get interrupted, right? By the same drunken guy who got killed, right? And now in this instance, now she reveals the second bit of information, and something that the audience already know. Hitler is going to be at that screening. So of course, Aldo's like, hell's yeah, okay, we going, right? But because her escorts done get wiped out already, including Archie, it's like, here's what, right? So Aldo decide here, where he gonna go, Donnie gonna go, this other guy called Omar gonna go. I just love the gist of it is like, oh, you know, we'll play this Italian film crew, right? But, you know, like, I know a little bit of Italian, Donnie know a little bit of Italian, Omar know the least. It's just like, it's just the idea of the, oh, like, I don't, it's not Omar saying, I don't know any Italian. All right, cool, right, we're gonna rope you in, right? That's how it ends, though, right? It's a scene that I forget, but it's just such a brilliant way to end this scene, Dread. Fucking Han shows up after this, after the fact, Dread, and you watching the scene, you see all the bodies or whatnot, right? And he notices one of Bridget's shoes, right?
Yes.
And of course, it's Tarantino. You know, he had to love that. You know, he had the foot fetish, right? We will get to that later on too, right? But he picks it up now. It's like, oh, okay, somebody is alive now, right? And then now, a little moment that you kind of forget, where the soldier now was interrupting the conversation. He had asked Bridget, can you know her, right, from his movies? You know what? Or sign this handkerchief from her, right? And she does that and then kisses it. So yeah, he sees it now as like, oh, Bridget von Hammersmack. I love that, though. Just the idea that we're gonna end the scene like this. So yeah, you know, Hans is on to them now. You know what going on to, right? I'll stop there. So yeah, guys, your thoughts on Operation Kino, as in Chapter 4.
Great stuff, right? Like, again, building the story really well. You know, again, what makes Hans Lander dangerous is that you don't fall for the crap. You don't get high on your own supply. You just see the waiters, making the case, and then going forward with what you see. Don't fall for no ideology or no nonsense. Man, sharp as hell, dude. That would make
sharp
so
as hell, but you know what I mean? Yeah. And of course, well, I know you touched on it briefly, but yeah, just your thoughts on the, well, you know, you tell me you love the shootout, right? But what you thought about the build up to the shootout itself? With the tavern and everybody, with the card game, all that stuff.
Classic scene. It really works. Again, I mentioned the whole thing with King Kong and how it's just the character's not really Tarantino's opinion necessarily. At least that's how I'll defend that position. That's how I think about it. But yeah, it's just, it builds so well. Good stuff. Again, smart. Yeah, again, the Hitchcock stuff.
Yeah, it's a Hitchcock stuff. There's a bomb there ticking or you know, about to blow. It's just a matter of when it blows, and he does that so well with these chapters. He does that so well. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it had it on the edge. It make it work. Yeah, good.
Indeed. Yeah. So Ashton, your thoughts on this chapter here, especially the shootout and stuff.
Bro, this was like such a good scene for the movie, because this was so much action just driven into your face at once now. For a movie that at this point of it was, well, as people might say, moving kind of slow now, right? But everything that happened, the whole setup, the way that the guy figured out the deductive reasoning behind this guy not being who he said he was, is because he put up the wrong fingers.
Yes,
when
I forgot to
ordering a
mention
drink.
that too. It was the wrong fingers. It
Right.
was supposed to
So
be the
that's-
German tree when he
Right.
had asked for the whiskey in the first place. It's one of those
Right,
things
right.
you wouldn't think about though, but it's how data see through that quick. But like, I love that. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so that was just another interesting part of the movie, you know. You know how imagine. All right, so obviously we don't know what we don't know, if that makes sense here, right?
Right.
But I would have never known that was a way for somebody to find out if somebody was trying to defraud them, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact
All these
that you didn't
these
put up enough
cultural-
fingers.
Yeah, these little cultural
Right.
idiosyncrasies that you wouldn't know about things that you don't know the culture. That's why you could tell some foreigners are bullshit or somebody, saying something wrong.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can pick up on these little small
So-
things.
Nice little things that they add to the movie to make you actually think. I think it also did a good job to humanize the German characters in the movie when it was he had his child and this and that and they wanted to give him
Yeah.
a chance, but well, I don't know if they'd actually given him a chance, but whatever, they said they were gonna, right? It was just a good scene. Everything about it was good, especially when she got her little bit of revenge as well. Even though that's why I said I don't know if Brad Pitt was actually gonna end live, but she kind of take that away in totality. I guess would. But another great scene, and of course Christopher coming down and being the genius that he is, figured it out in 1 second. He really ratioed it.
Right,
You
got
guys
it,
didn't
got
get
it.
that reference? It was a CSI Miami reference.
Right.
I would
ratioed it.
I don't use Colombo, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. But both of them work, right? Yeah,
Right.
so last but not least now, final chapter now, Revenge of the Giant Phase 2. And this one is has the most
Right.
unique title, right? But you'll understand why in a bit, right?
You get your reference, right?
Yeah. The opening to this chapter is one of the best examples of use of music in a Tarantino film, right? So I never, still to this day, have not seen the 1982 remake of Cat People, right? I saw the old one, but I never saw the remake of it, right? But this one, the theme song of it is called Putting Out Fire or Cat People, right? That's the song that plays here. This is where basically you see Shoshana at the cinema. She's dressed in red. This really, really, really gorgeous looking dress and whatnot, right? And she looks great in this scene, by the way, right? And she is prepared for her final battle, right? So you see how everybody else we've seen before are technically soldiers in this war. This is her kind of getting ready for the war. And, she's putting on makeup in this real ritualistic kind of way. She even put away a little gun and she pulls in the weed. And just looking at it now, though, this is where, for me, she really turns into this femme fatale kind of character. Because, at first it's just,
Right.
she's just this innocent girl working at the cinema. But then when the Nazis are introduced, you see the anger being built up, right? But here's all right, here I am going to wipe out a whole bunch of people. I don't care if it was just one of them that organized the death of my family. I wiping out everybody, Dread. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, that scene in particular is fantastic though, and especially the use of the song there. I love it, right? So let's take a little break here. But yeah, guys, your thoughts on this opening sequence with Shoshana getting ready for war, basically.
No, yeah, good scene. It just set up everything. We're going good so far. Is that I don't remember this part of the top of my head. It's like, oh yeah, right, okay, just a quick montage, more or less. But yeah, good stuff.
Right. I forgot to mention too, in between that scene, there's a great little flashback where, can remember I mentioned they wanted to do the short film to show the Nazis. Yeah, they actually talk about how they put it together, right? Because they talk about, well,
Right.
all right, we film it, so how are we going to where are we going to find somebody to develop the film with the soundtrack, right? And
Right.
something that I forget, boy, and looking at it now, it kind of it kind of shows why the movie is called Inglourious Basterds in the first place, right? Because yeah, it's not just about the bastards themselves. Like pretty much everybody is showing glorious, boy. Because yeah, them just roll up on this one guy and they sort of beat him up, dread. Like literally intimidate the man and say, oh, if you don't develop this film first, we'll basically kill your family, dread. And this was legit the first time you see Shoshana get real grimy in the show, right?
Right.
But going off the characterization that we get throughout the show here, it's just like, it's justified because of the war, but is it really right? Is it really morally right what she's doing? Of course it's not, right? But the context of the war and where she's at is like, yeah, I out for revenge. I don't care. Nazis are bad, right? But anyway, so this is the night. This is the premiere of Nation's Pride, right? So everybody here, Hans is there, and I love that the first thing you notice is Bridget, right? And she's rocking this cast and she leg, right? Of course, Quentin being Quentin had to show the toes poking out because Quentin carries this, right? You know, right? If you know, you know, right?
Incredibly dung bad. Dung horrendous.
Boy, I'll never forget seeing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Right? They had this chick who had like the bottom of the bottom of she foot was dirty, dread, and the man really good on that shit too. Just like, boss, why, boy, why? Anyway, right? So
you.
I know, right? You, right? Anyway, so Aldo, Donnie, and Omar are there, and they play this Italian film crew, right? They escorted her to the event, right? Boy, this scene just have so much great bits of humor, right? So I love where have a moment where Bridget, where Hans asks Bridget, right? How she hurt she leg then. She say how she hurt it in this mountain climbing accent. And Hans just start cracking up, Dre, like loud cracking up, Dre.
Yeah, that's insult to intelligence, man.
Yeah, boy.
Like,
I will never forget seeing that for the first time. I was laughing at that, though. But really, what sells it is how raucous the laughter is, Dre. Like, the man like legit died of laughter. But yes, you are right, Ricardo. Is because he not buying into that at all. He know that she on shit, right? That's the point, right? But it's just again, just the character. This is how all feelings be. Sometimes it works, right?
Yeah.
So, going back, I think this is the moment where you talk about, right? This is great commentary on accents, right? So, Aldo is introduced as a stuntman, right? Is by the name of Enzo Golomi, right? And I find it so funny because Brad played Leo DiCaprio stuntman in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and what an Oscar fit, right? So that's funny, right? So Aldo says hello in Italian, right? And then Hans just out the blue just start talking pure Italian like for a whole minute. He just going off it. I just watch it, it's like, what?
No, but
French, German, English, and Italian, you know.
No, but is Brad Pitt just sad Italian like buongiorno?
Yeah, buongiorno. But it's after Hans start talking in Italian, right? This is few seconds of silence, right? And then also says, he's like, grazie.
Yeah.
I love that. That's just to show how great of a character Hans is, right? And boy, this scene, right? This moment. So he asks Aldo to pronounce his surname is Golomi, right? So Bridget initially, I love that they do this here. Bridget say the surnames, right? So she says Golomi, right? But Aldo keeps saying Golami. And then Hans like, say it again? Golami. Say that one more time. And Aldo's friend was like, Golami. I love that. Yeah. Then afterwards, he asks Donnie to say, well, his name is Margaretti, right? But he keeps saying Margaretti. Yeah, right. Say that again. Margaretti. He just keep going off like that, right? But Omar is the smartest of it all. All he just says is Dominic De Coco. Dominic De Coco. Alright, cool, that's it. You don't need to say anything else. Because the thing is that Omar just say it so fast. It's like, alright, well, I don't need to ask you anymore. Okay, you get away scot free, right? But it's just that moment though. It's so brilliant though. I love that, right? But yeah, keep in mind though that the bastards don't know about Shoshana's plan, right? So Aldo and Donnie and Omar have like these they have these sticks of dynamite with timers on it. So that's basically the plan is just to drop the dynamite and bust out, right? That's what it is, right? But anyway, so before the movie starts now, Hans invites Bridget to Shoshana's office, right? And then in this really intimidating and creepy way, he asks her to put his foot on his lap, right? Again, Quentin with the foot fetish shit, right? So yeah, Hans take off the shoe that he had taken from the tavern and put it right on her well, not the hurt leg, of course, but the other foot, right? And then you just wondering what gonna happen next, Dred. And dude just grabbed she neck and started choke she to death, you know. I was like, I jump when I see that. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, you lose it. Yeah, you just like, you can't believe he insulted his intelligence in that way. Like, and I like that. Like, it's, he's such a, again, great information in the character, how vicious he really is. Under
Yes,
all of that,
boy.
all of that niceness and thing. He feel like, all right, this is the checkmate. That's it.
Yes.
Time to fuck you up now. Like,
Yes.
It's like perfect moment, great moment.
And what I love about this though, as violent and as cruel as it is though, this is the first time you ever see him do anything violent, you know. 'Cause
Exactly.
Even in the first chapter, he never shot at anybody. He never did
He
it.
feel like he it done. Like it's enough. Time to stop pretending now. Like it reached that point now. Like that what I like about it. It's a great moment.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
it is though. But again, the foot fetish shit again, because it had the end now with the camera panning down now and you see it, Bridget's feet in the frame, just like us, like Quentin, like us.
Quentin,
It had to be you though. It had to be you though.
Yeah, you gotta chill. You gotta chill.
You had to chill with that shit, John. But anyway, so right afterwards, Aldo gets captured by security. I love how they do it too. They just like jump off, just let's literally spay him, like oof, like literally jump on him, right? And then they put him in this prison truck and they realize, oh, BJ Novak's character, I forgot his name, yeah, he there as well, right? And then now, the truck itself goes to this abandoned tavern now, and basically Hans starts talking to Aldo and BJ, right? So for the sake of the rest of this review, I'm gonna call him BJ because I don't know the character name, right? And then now,
I forget,
and then Hans now, in pure Hans style now, start to broker this deal now with Aldo. So they basically saying that because the three major players, right, the four major players in the Third Reich, that's Hitler, Goebbels, Hermann Göring, and Martin Bormann, all in the television shows. So the idea is that once they all die, the war would end. So his plan now is just to let Operation Kino go as planned now, and then he will let the OSS know that he was a double agent and he was just playing all along.
Right, yeah, it's
all
a
that kind
great
of stuff
reveal.
now. Yeah, I love it. Like, I love that,
It's
right?
a great reveal.
Yeah.
It's a great moment. Again, that's what I say. He didn't fall for the bullshit in the sense of he was so cynical though.
Yes.
He's just a cynical motherfucker though. Like, you don't really believe in the nonsense. You never believe in this. And it's just a job and a career and like, it's just that though.
Yeah.
And that was it. That will make him such a dangerous person too, is that the second he get to the point of it end, he died with the cause.
Of course not, yeah. And of course, dude's so full of himself, he's like, he wanted to get an award for his hard work and effort to take out the Nazis. The man want American citizenship. And us, when I hear this, I laugh though. The man want property of his own too, The man want his own property. Like, that's wow, boy, wow.
And to be clear, a lot of like America, a lot of Germans broker this deal. Like all of them who work on the bomb and things, that's not Germans who work on the bomb. So it's like not like it come out of nowhere. It continue to make up this stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, the man is drawing from historical facts, right? So I like this moment again because I haven't seen it in a long while. I just love it, these reveals, right? So he's on the line, right? He's talking to his OSS general about all these deals that he want, right? But then afterwards, the general, who we don't see, right? He's off screen, says he want to talk to Aldo. I tell Aldo, here's what I want y'all to continue playing prisoners, right? Until when the truck down, the prison truck, once all they reach our lines, right? I.e. enemy lines. So once all they reach there, you all switch, all they reverse now. So all they drive in the truck and all they will play prisoners. And once all they reach a certain point, I want Hans and this radio operator basically who tagged along with him to come out. They'll do the surrender, and then afterwards they will organize the deal where Hans will get all the stuff that he asked for, right? But anyway, back to the cinema now. Frederick now, right? If you remember him being the star of Nation's Pride now, you're getting a little tired of seeing himself gun on a bunch of people. So
this was funny too, because he's like, oh yeah, right, I forget these movies here is get the actual guy to play the guy he plays.
Yeah.
He plays the guy actor.
Exactly, yes. I just step it off a little bit. I step it off a little bit.
Right.
Because it set this up too, right?
Oh, I got it. The movie is shit too, It's like it boring.
Plus, it's just him gunning down people, like it boring. Yeah. Like it. No wonder the actual film that you see the Blu-ray is like 20 minutes long, It's just Abba again gunning down a whole bunch of people. That's really what it is, right? But yeah, because it's set up how down bad he is with Shoshana, the man just go up to the projection room and find Sheena, right? And she just watching everything. She just like watching the plan play out, right? And Marcel now, he's at the back of the screen. And I love this reveal though with this large pile of nitrate film, right? And he just had a cigarette just waiting for the right opportunity, right? So yeah, Frederick knock on the door and he open up. It's like, and Shoshana's like, oh shit, it's you, Frederick, right? And here is where you really see how, basically that Frederick is anything but a hero, right? So, the Nazis watching him fend off a whole bunch of people and they all cheered, yeah, right, woo, and all that kind of stuff, right? But the man selfish, right? Because they're like, oh, I just kind of want you. I want you, Shoshana, even though she keep chasing him away, right? But yeah, then he started to get all demanding and she's like, oh, I not gonna take no for an answer. And she's like, here's what, just close the door, and, we'll get a little busy, right? Then as he goes to the door now, she pull out the pistol, blacka, like 3 shots, whatever it is, and then he falls out, right? And you think he dead, right? So there's this great shot though, I forgot this was in the movie, right? And it's how, again, going back to music, right? You hear this music being played. I don't know for the life of me where it came from, but it sounds like something out of some 70s Italian film. It has that kind of sound to it, right? Very melodramatic, right? She is watching the screen, and there's a moment where you see Frederick in the movie, like, hold up by a wall, that like almost like he stressed out, like he wondering, he running out of hope there, right? But she seeing this on the screen, and he watching the real man dying right in front of her, right? And then she just gets sympathetic. She walk up to the man, wanted to see how if he really dead, and dude just turn around. Plaka, shots in the chest, shots in the stomach. As that slow-mo shot, though, and how the music builds at that point, though, where you see she just fall back because she get hit, though. It's a really sad moment, though, but very visceral as well, too, especially with the red dress and the blood coming out, though. It works, so, but the music makes the scene very, very poignant, though. It really, really does, right? And then right after she get hit, though, that's when he finally dies, right? But I mean, it's a beautiful scene in my opinion, though. Just beauty in the middle of all this violence, though. It really, really works, right? So meanwhile, Donnie and Omar, who's still there, right? So they play like these ushers, right? Yeah, they just start to get all James Bond and folks, right? Because they set up like little firearms on their wrists. And I just love how they just like bust out the bathroom, just start busting shots and all that kind of stuff, right? So they going off on what they think Operation Kino is, where it's just basically just taking out the Nazis and they're waiting for the bombs to blow up, right? But then that's where Shoshana's plan finally comes into fruition, because that's where you see the film comes up, right? And that's where you go to the title, Revenge of the Giant Face, right? So I like that. It's a brilliant reference to what we saw before with the death of Frederick, right? Because Frederick is on screen, but he's also dead. So in this case now, Shoshana is dead, but she's on screen, right? And I love that she's telling the Nazis in English pretty much that they're going to die. Like, all of them going to die, right? I love that she just talks to them in pure English at this point, right? And she being real villainous with it, when like, all of you are going to die. And she even like does like a villainous laugh at the end of it too, right?
Yeah.
And then Marcel flicks his cigarette, right? And I love that just this shot, this slow-mo shot of the cigarette just in the air. And if you notice, it's a French cigarette, because there's a moment in chapter 3 where Hans was talking to Shoshana, and they talk about French and German cigarettes, right? And he was talking about, I prefer German cigarettes, right? So that's the reason behind the slow-mo of the cigarette falling. And then, boom.
It's I also thought that was a reference, a kind of opposite version of like the Vichy reference in Casablanca. It's kind of like that. You make a specific thing about a product representing the time and the concept at the time. It's like that. That's always read that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, good.
So, why they made a big deal about the cigarettes thing? Like, I get it in terms of you selling a product, but like clearly other people sell out themselves at the time to Nazi Germany,
Yeah.
So why make a big deal about the product in that sense? Like, I guess it's just a nice cinematic shot. Slow-mo cigarettes always are cool. Why that product? I don't know.
I don't know. I guess it's just Tarantino, right? I love just the shot of you seeing Shoshana's face on the screen, and you just see this fire from the bottom of the frame rising up. Just that shot, like, yes, Tarantino cooking here. I love that. I love that, right? So, of course, the screen catch fire. Hitler, Goebbels try to run, and they are the first ones to get gunned down by Donnie and Omar, right? And I won't lie, the first time I saw this film, right, I was blown away by that, though. The idea that in Tarantino's world, right, Hitler get guns get gunned down in, like he gets
Yeah, we got right.
killed, like,
At
shot
the
down in, like.
time, you thought it was real history.
Yes, that the scene, or like it's
So you're
going to
thinking, oh
tie,
well,
or I should say it's a fictional story, but it's gonna tie back to real history. But this is the idea that no, in this show, in Tarantino's world, us Hitler get killed by a Jew in a cinema, you know?
Yeah.
Just that boy just blew my mind, you know what I mean? But just the mere fact that he and Goebbels is the first two to get gunned down, I love that, right? And boy,
that whole scene, I'll tell you what was the best part about it is that the bastards who were taking it were doing it, right? They kind of already realized that something went on with their original plan. There was a failure to launch, right? So they were just like, well, I guess we here. Time to do what we say we're going to do anyway.
Let me start busting shots. Let me start killing Nazis, right? That's what we're going to do.
Type of movement here.
Yeah. But dog, just the idea for Quentin to rewrite history like that, dude, just blew me away, right? It's like say Django Unchained, where it is revisionist, right? Just what he set up here. But it's not tied to some big historical event. It's just a story being told, but he just sort of changed the context of it, right? But in this case, just seeing Hitler die in a cinema at the hands of a Jew, you know, is like, what? You know what I mean? But just that blew me away, right? I just love
this was our multiverse World War II story. This was
a what if scenario. Yeah.
And it's very like anti-Man in the High Castle, right? They play with that, aspect of it, right?
Yeah. And I love that there's a shot where you're seeing Eli Roth, right? As Donnie, of course, just with glee on his face, so just gunning down people, especially how he basically rips Hitler into shreds, though, you know what I mean? Just glee in this man's face, but you're like, all right, yes. But while all this is going on, of course, the dynamite goes off and there's just explosions and people die, right? But I love that Tarantino kind of plays this also ironically as well, because if you notice, the whole cinema goes down. So in other words, everybody dies. Everybody dies here. Although I still believe to this day that Marcel busts out. Like as soon as shit start blowing up, he busts out. But the sad part is that is without Shushara, because
you forget Marcel did bust out because he was in charge of locking up everything.
Yeah. That's true, yeah.
So the plan was probably to meet Shoshana on the outside. Yeah. But just happened she did on the inside, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's the sad part, is that he didn't, like, he will realize later on that she died and all of this, right? But yeah, just going back to the whole revisionist stuff though. So I like that, even though yes, you're supposed to relish in the fact that, all these Nazis are being killed, right? Regardless of what they did. The mere fact is that everybody, all the inglorious people in this scene here, in this cinema, everybody die. I just love that kind of self-aware moment in the movie, right? So you're wrapping up now. Now we get into the denouement of all of this, right? So the plan that the OSS general, pitched to Arlo going, everything going smooth, right? I love how it's set up earlier on where you're seeing Hans in the car, in the truck, and he played with Arlo's Bowie knife. I love that, right? Nice setup there, right? So the plan going smoothly, so they get outside the truck and Hans surrendering and all that kind of stuff. And I love that right after Hans surrendered, and he thinking, cool, my plan gonna come out now. Yeah, Arlo's like, BJ, go basically shoot the radio operator for me. Blacker, shoot him, right? And then afterwards, like, go and scalp him. Alright, cool, scalp him, man. And Hans like, what going on, right? So that's when he drops some bars, right? And he talk about how he was in on the plan and all that kind of stuff, and it was really basically you saying, they will pretty much give him what it is he asked for. They will give him that, right? But I love that he goes back to what he said in chapter 2, where he says, when you go back to the States now, you're living your life there. Nobody can know that you're a Jew hunted, or nobody can know about all the shit that you did. So I had to leave a reminder for you, right? We have to leave a reminder for you. And points for this too. And this is Tarantino once again, just enjoying what he's doing here, just playing with the audience. That close-up of Hans's forehead, when Arlo's carving the swastika on his forehead, right? Because this is the first time you see the process taking place, right? The blood that coming down, you just hear Hans just screaming, I love that shot though. I mean, it's visceral, it is bloody, but that's the point. And this is Hans just getting his reward though, for all the shit that he was doing throughout this. So it's he deserved all of that. I love all of that, right? And then now, going back to the end of chapter 2 now, this is where you see Aldo and BJ watching him, but it's also Tarantino watching the camera and pretty much telling the audience. I love that, it's basically Aldo speaking for Tarantino at this point, right? This is where he says, I think this just might be my masterpiece.
Yeah.
So, final thoughts now, and then, well, I should say, before I get to my final thoughts, right? Guys, your thoughts on this final chapter, just how everything plays out.
Yeah, no, it's such a great scene that comes together so well. Again, the ending with him just great come up on for such a great villain. Like, it's easily one of the best villains in a long time. I had no idea where this dude come from at the time. What do you call him, Christoph Waltz. But it's just really, really excellent stuff.
Yeah, and what you thought about the whole cinema scene and just again,
that scene is great. Like,
being killed though, in it.
Yeah, it builds well. Again, just see Hitler face just get to the chunks like something.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all them things. It's very hard.
Yeah. But before we get to final thoughts, right? So, Ashton, your thoughts on this final chapter here before we wrap up.
Well, that was one of the big highlights of the entire movie, and I mean, I think the scene where you see the boys on the top of the balcony just busting off on everybody, and the way they were like maniacally laughing, and they could tell when they were targeting certain characters in the crowd more than others, down to the point where they blew up, right?
Yeah. Also, sorry to cut to them. That balcony scene, I couldn't help but think of Scarface, It has that sort of say hello to my little friend Scarface, seeing the way he just gunning people down. It has that kind of visceral vibe to it.
And the maniacal look on their faces.
Yes.
As they did it in Glee. It was really good. It was amazing.
Yeah, and then, well, of course, the comeuppance with Hans. Yeah, your quick thoughts on that.
Well, you know how I feel about that. I mean, Hans get what he was gonna get because he. You know what he was at the end? At the end of it all, he was a classic case of too smart for your own good.
Yeah, right.
Because when he was making his deal, he was too smart for his own good.
Yeah.
I like that in retrospect. I like that he actually thought he was going to get away with it, Like, he really thought he was going to get away with that shit, Like, wow, you really thought so?
What funny is he shared entitlement. Like, he could, ask them. He didn't ask them to hide or nothing like that. No, he asked for a fucking medal and a house. And he's like, bro.
Yeah, he wanted
just ask them to hide.
Just
all of that.
Shameless. In their face now. So, it's just like how he wanted everything on his own terms. And the stuck on his face when he realized that that's not what it's going to be. I think that was a riveting part of the movie. I ain't even going to say pivotal, I just say riveting. Yeah. Because as that blade sink into his forehead and you hear him screaming.
Yes, boy.
It's like, sick.
And again, going back to Tarantino, he's like telling the audience, you love that shit. You love that. You love seeing that man get a swastika engraved in his forehead. You love it, all of this, right? So so get into final thoughts and overall rating, right? So first time I saw it in theaters, right? I was slightly let down by the fact that this was not the traditional war film that I had imagined, right? Because when you hear Tarantino war film, I think it's going to be, you're going to get the war stuff that you would like, because he had hinted at Dirty Dozen earlier on with the whole, with trailers and emphasizes so much on Brad Pitt. I was thinking that this is going to be like that style of film, right? With a lot of action and stuff like that, with the dialogue, right? So I was expecting like Kill Bill style stuff, you know what I mean? Where you have the action, you get the nice references, but also has a great dialogue and well-written story, right? But for me, looking back at it now, for me, it's a film that isn't what you think it would be going into it for the first time, but it's a movie that it kind of is exactly what it needed to be, right? Which is basically a cinephile's version of a war film. That's what it is. It's Tarantino just geeking out and saying, I know a lot about war films, I know a lot about early German cinema, I'm just gonna throw all this into one movie, right? But again, going back to what I said with screenwriting, right? You could tell that you can really tell it was something that he was building for years, right? You could tell that it was initially going to be the Dirty Dozen kind of thing, but he just sort of added all these other elements over the years and somehow he make it work, right? And that still inspires me, right? So as far as top 5 lists of favorite Tarantino movies go, right? For me, right? I would say Pulp Fiction is the top for me, right? But
Right.
I could at times I could switch that with Kill Bill, right? And I'll talk about volumes 1 and 2, right? Because for me, Kill Bill, especially volume 1, came at just the right time because I was getting into martial arts films and samurai films, right? So that just tapped something into me. That just tapped into my creativity in a way that I didn't even expect, right? And for me, it's like my fan favorite Tarantino movie, right? But Pulp Fiction just did so much though. I just put him on a level that you didn't even expect. And this was this man sophomore feature, and this man just killed it with that though. Performances, dialogue, music, everything. It was perfect, right? Pitch perfect, right? So where I would put Inglourious Basterds now, I would still put Django Unchained as my 3rd favorite, but I would put Inglourious Basterds as my 4th favorite. But I could see myself on days tell myself, maybe I could put Inglourious over Django, or maybe I might leave it the way it is, right? Like that's how I feel. It's similar to Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction. Like I feel like I could switch those two. I kind of have them up there as my top favorite, right? But I could see the same thing with Django and this show here, right? Inglourious Basterds, right? And as far as 5th goes, I would put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then 6th one will be what it says by Reservoir Dogs, and everything else comes after that, right? But it's a list that it's not going to be finalized because with every time I see these movies, I'm gonna appreciate them a lot more for different reasons, right? And that's how I felt just recapping this. I really appreciated the story a lot more from when I last saw it, right? In particular, though, just the storytelling, just the way how the story was structured, how these stories were structured, how they all kind of feel like these standalone stories. Even the last one, right? Even though it's tying up all the narrative threads and whatnot, right? They feel like these standalone stories. They have their own specific tone and whatnot, but they always have sharp, very well written dialogue. And with the exception of the 3rd one, it always ends on this gloriously violent note, right? But this was Tarantino this was like a return to form after just the misfire that Death Proof was. And I talk about storytelling, all that kind of stuff, right? And dialogue and whatnot. Just direction though, throughout though, was just superb though, from start to end. Just that opening shot of the first chapter of the movie, just pretty much let you know the type of movie you're gonna get with this though. Just superb, right? And of course, I can't end this review without talking about just the fantastic performances across the board, whether it's Brad Pitt, whether it's Michael Fassbender, even Eli Roth to Mike Myers, but of course the standout will always be Christoph Waltz though. This was he is a scene stealer in all of this though. And if it wasn't for this film, boy, we would not have known who Christoph Waltz was though. This is just such a brilliant performance. Still the best performance I've seen from him, and best performance I've seen, I would say, compared to Django Unchained. This tops what he did in Django Unchained, even though I love his performance in that film as well too, right? But I could talk long enough about this, but I absolutely love this film here, and this is one that's gonna get better with more and more views, and just how just me learning more about old school war films and European films and war films as a whole, right? So for me, rating wise, strong 4.5 out of 5. This just easily one of the best Tarantino movies ever in my opinion. Top 5, easy top 5 in my opinion. So Ashton, your final thoughts, rating, and where would you rank Inglourious Basterds as far as Tarantino's films?
Sure, not a problem. So, of course, I think Inglourious Basterds was a really good movie. I like movies that draw on historic fact and distort them in an entertaining way, right? So it's what the movie did. In terms of Tarantino and his movies and where I rate this movie, now I'm gonna give you my ratings, right? For Tarantino movies, and this will fall in there. So for me, it's Reservoir Dogs, right? I put Hateful Eight number two.
Okay.
Right?
That is one that personally I want to rewatch. I know that there is a miniseries version of it. I think it was on Netflix at a point in time, a much longer, more episodic version. I feel like if I watch that, I will enjoy the film a lot more because I do enjoy it, but not as much as Django and
the same chapters thing that you like about Inglourious Basterds, they do that in this movie as well.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
So, Reservoir Dogs, Hateful Eight, Inglourious Basterds,
All right.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Django Unchained is there. If I was to give
that's your top five.
But it would definitely be like, it would be the fifth one. Inglourious Basterds would be the third one. Yeah, it'd be third in my list of movies that I enjoy by Quentin Tarantino.
Nice. All right. What rating would you give Inglourious Basterds? That's rated wise.
Say 90 scalps out of 100.
All right. I like that. 90 scalps out of 100. I see what you did there. All right, Ricardo, final thoughts, rated, and where would you rank Inglourious Basterds as far as favorite Tarantino films?
Yeah, love this movie. It really, really works. Again, as you said before, is a great return to form. A lot of it comes together and just really, really smart, dialogue, writing, and structure. Like, it's just excellent film structure and storytelling, in my humble opinion, as it is. As for ratings, yes, I rate it very high, probably an extra perfect score, like a 9 out of 10. And as for rankings, how I see it, boy, okay, so for me, number one, probably Reservoir Dogs, still number one, I think, for him.
Okay.
Number two, Pulp Fiction. Number three, Inglourious Basterds. Number four, Jackie Brown. Number five, Django Unchained, probably.
Right.
That's how I feel about his list. Like, I don't super think about his list or anything like that, but yeah, I read his films like that, roughly.
Yeah, well, I don't think about it like that. Like, I don't have like a official ranking of his movies, right? So
Right.
Okay. And lastly, as we wrap up here, I do hope that Tarantino drops his 10th film, because if you remember, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was his 9th film, and he was supposed to put out. He was actually working on one on a script involving a film critic, but then he literally he scrapped it. You know what I mean? So yeah, because for me, he is still one of the best filmmakers out there. He makes the kind of films that I want to make, where it's just coming from just loving the art of cinema and just storytelling and all that kind of stuff, right? And just being able to pull from so many references, but you're telling these stories that are pastiche, but they feel very original, right? So I really do hope that we get a 10th film from him very soon before he retires and starts writing books and appearing in podcasts and whatnot. Because, as much as I really enjoy Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I don't want that to be his last film. Because that film really felt like a penultimate film. It felt like, okay, this is me kind of saying, all right, I have one more film in me. And then I could rest and retire, right? And enjoy my married life, right? But I do hope that we get that film very soon. I'm not sure if it's going to be another genre film or whatnot, because I thought it was pretty interesting that he was going to do what I assume was going to be like a drama about a film critic. I don't know, and the mere fact that it ties to his cinema speculation book, which is a really dope book. You should really check it out, guys, right? I think it makes sense. But yeah, since he scrapped that now, I don't know what he's going to do next, right? But I do hope that he sticks to his formula of, harkening back to classic films, especially from the 60s and 70s. And not be intimidated by what's going on with, superhero films and what's being said about them now. He never was, right? But I do see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as a kind of a commentary that's, maybe people kind of don't want to see westerns no more, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, maybe I should wrap it up. That's how I kind of felt that movie was about, like, him kind of seeing that, right? Through this film, right? But yeah, I really, while I don't know what his last film is going to be, I would just say right out the back, right out the gate, I hope that it's not his last film, right? Because I think that Hollywood and cinema in general needs this guy. I don't want him to just stop at a 10th film, right? But anyway, we'll see when the time comes, but I really do hope that we get that 10th film of him very soon. So yeah, guys, any last words on Tarantino and his place in cinema right now? And then we'll wrap up.
No, people might wonder why you keep saying 10th film, and I'll tell them why. It's 10 films because he considers Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Kill Bill one movie.
One film, yeah.
Right.
And I do treat it as one film, right? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so people go back to wonder why we keep saying 10, why we keep saying 10. Also, From Dusk Till Dawn is not a movie from him. It was just written by him.
Yeah.
You know?
That's Rodriguez.
And,
that's Robert Rodriguez.
And lesser known, Iron Monkey, 1993. He was just a producer on that.
Yeah.
But that was some of his early work as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I hope that he could keep bringing us his brand of cinema, because I don't think anybody could do his brand of cinema currently the way that he's been doing it.
No.
Because he's still there, he's still relevant. We're still talking about movies that he made up into 2024, right?
Yeah.
So
like legit, very soon we're gonna be celebrating 30 years of Pulp Fiction. Like, look at that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man is 61.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Not us. We would not have thought that. We wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, and I love how he always approaches films with like energy now, with youthful energy. You know, he reminds me a lot like what like Martin Scorsese, right? Even though he's in his early 80s now, he still approaches his films with that youthful energy. You know what I mean? That's that vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ricardo, just as we wrap up, just any thoughts on what we could get from Tarantino and just his place in film, like
Yeah, he's one of these guys who just is an interesting period of him being as make the joke, he's one of those the last filmmaker, in the sense that it's that end period where digital now started to come through, and it was more the switching period, and between him and like people like Nolan and this kind of film mix between film fan but also filmmaker, and how to talk about this back and forth. He's one of those who really have an interesting space in film history. And as I said, I would love to see his what his post his post film career going to be. I would love to see the whole film critic thing, right? I remember you and I talk about that potential script we had together about that, right? It's that idea, but to see it from the other side and how to flip it is interesting stuff. And I really want to see what you're going to do with this. I would like to see the film critic script. I was excited for that. We was talking for a hot minute about a potential Star Trek script. I don't think that's coming true. But that would have been interesting too. But I just want to see what next. If you have one final movie, do it. Let's finish and do that.
Yeah.